In April this year, South Africa published its draft National Artificial Intelligence Policy. Within weeks, it was withdrawn because roughly a tenth of the academic sources in its reference list did not exist. The minister said the failure had compromised the integrity and credibility of the policy. Officials face consequence management. It was humiliating, and the humiliation was deserved. But I want to suggest that the fabricated citations were the least interesting thing in that document. Suppose the redraft is immaculate. Suppose every reference is real, every principle defensible, every institution well-designed. The draft proposed 7 new bodies: a national AI commission, an ethics board, an ombudsperson, a safety institute, an insurance fund modeled on the road accident fund, a regulatory authority tasked to monitor compliance, perform audits, and issue certifications. 7 institutions were announced. Almost nothing was specified about how any of them would detect a breach, prove it, or impose a consequence. 7 institutions announced, no enforcement designed. We do not have to speculate about what happens next, because we have already run this experiment. The Protection of Personal Information Act was signed in 2013. Its substantive provisions became enforceable only in July 2021. 2 years after that, on the 3rd of July 2023, the Information Regulator issued its very first administrative fine, 5 million rand, against the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, following a ransomware attack traced in part to an intrusion detection license that had been allowed to lapse. 10 years from statute to first consequence. And then the part worth studying: the department declined to exercise its statutory right of appeal. It did not comply with the enforcement notice. And in September 2023, it launched a review application in the High Court, seeking to have both the enforcement notice and the infringement notice set aside. South Africa's first data protection penalty became litigation between one organ of state and another. As far as the public record shows, there is still no outcome. The following year, the regulator fined the Department of Basic Education. That department went to court as well. 2 fines in the history of the Act, both against the state, both contested rather than paid. This is not a uniquely South African failure. The OECD has now measured it. Artificial intelligence is used somewhere in almost every member government, and yet only 11 of 36 countries conduct any audit after they deploy it. 31%. Wealth does not close that distance. Colorado passed the first comprehensive artificial intelligence statute in the United States, and then repealed it in May this year, weeks before it was due to take effect. It governed nothing for a single day. So here's the uncomfortable reading for a board. Whatever the redrafted policy eventually asks of you, the probability that a regulator detects a breach, proves it, survives the review application, and imposes a consequence within any commercially meaningful period is low. That is not a license to ignore it. It is a warning that the discipline will have to come from somewhere other than the state. Enforcement is a headcount, not a sentence in a gazette. It needs inspectors who can read a data lineage, auditors willing to sign their names, a regulator prepared to escalate. We do not have that for artificial intelligence, and we have only begun to build it for personal information. You cannot delegate your judgment to a tool. You cannot delegate your accountability to a regulator either. The organizations that look competent in 2030 are building their own audit trails today. If you would like, I will come and sit with your board and help you build the audit trail that no one is yet going to ask you for, so that when someone finally does, you already have it.